Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. City Clerk, will you take attendance, all that stuff?
It's done.
And first thing on here is agenda approval. Any additions, subtractions, or multiplications of the agenda?
None for me.
Councilman Johnson?
Nope. Looks good.
All right. Then we'll call that approved, and we will open it up to public comment. Is there anybody here to speak during public comment? Anybody online, City Clerk?
I don't see anybody.
Two, but no one's raising their hand.
All right. Well, there will be other opportunities, things arise. The minutes of our September 19th meeting. Did anybody see any problems with those?
I have no revisions.
Same.
All right.
Approved.
Approved. Okay, agenda bill AB 23110, Eagle Lake Water Reclamation Basin Improvements, amendment to RH2 Services Agreement. You can tell us about that one? This looks like a big one.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna do my best to summarize it here. So good evening. This agenda bill will facilitate transitioning the Eagle Lake Reclaimed Water Improvements Project from the planning phase, which included a recent completion of an engineering report, into the design and permitting phase. The project is necessary to continue delivery of Class A reclaimed water to city customers, including the business park, the Ridge Association, city parks, and city right-of-way. On average, the city distributes 18 million gallons of reclaimed water for irrigation use annually. The reclaimed water system improvements will include construction of a closed reservoir, reservoir site improvements, a new transmission main connecting the reservoir to the existing irrigation pump station, and improvements at the irrigation pump station. 6 different sites were evaluated for the reservoir, and the preferred location is located along the existing reclaimed water transition main at the top of the hill below the power lines. It's adjacent to the golf course. This is the lowest cost site evaluated, but will require the most coordination with power utilities. The updated cost for this project is estimated to be between $6 and $7 million. The engineering report and planning for this project was completed for $106,000. This amendment will authorize RH2 to advance the project through project design, permitting, and bidding, as well as update the 2015 Reclaimed Water System Plan. The total added cost for this work is $658,722 and will exceed the biennium project budget by approximately $444,000. Of the contract amendment, $74,000 relates to the Reclaimed Water System Plan update and will be paid for from the water and sewer utility operations budgets. To alleviate the remaining overage, city staff recommend delaying the pressure reducing valve stations project budgeted at $321,000 into the next biennium. Following these adjustments, the remaining overage is approximately $49,000, which will be included as an amendment during the mid-biennium review process. The increased project costs will be included in the upcoming utility rate study and the capital improvement planning documents. Permitting and design for these improvements needs to begin now to meet the ecology permit deadline. City staff recommend amending the RH2 contract to include permitting and design services. If you have questions, I'm happy to field anything.
I do have a few. Do you mind if okay. When I was reading this, the sense that I got is we don't really have a choice on this. This is ecology has new standards for reclaimed water that we have to hit.
That's correct. There's 2018 reclaimed water rule, and it went into effect in 2018, but it hit the city with the most recent NPDES permit, which was dated 2021.
And the pressure reducing valve project, that was the one that is that the one where it was
It,
to help the, tell me which one that one.
yeah,
that
I
one
read
is.
up on that one again today, just to refresh myself. It is to alleviate high and low pressures in the system. Provide
that's not what I
smoother
was thinking of, right.
operations and kind of address any inefficiencies in the system where we may be pumping when we don't need to. So I think, the biggest consequence of delaying that would just be inflation costs on that work. There would be some
Okay.
energy savings, but
So this is not the one that reduces the amount, the spikes in water coming into the reclamation center. I mean, do you know which one I'm thinking of?
I know
That's a different one.
Yeah, you're referring to the
Right.
Kimball Creek, which is
Yes.
wastewater. We're talking drinking water.
They both have
system.
water in
Yes.
them, and that's as far as my knowledge goes. So, okay, so that one's still on track then.
Well, which PRV is this?
Yes. It's a combination of PRVs.
Right.
The Reinig Road,
Yeah.
Rains Avenue. And I think there's one in the 1040.
Yeah, this went up
zone.
by Deer Park area.
Yeah.
There's 3 PRVs that we were gonna make adjustments to just rectify some inconsistencies with pressure zone issues that we're facing up there. They're not going to significantly impact the city if we don't do it. It improves fire flow, it improves some pumping, so we can maintain a lower zone pressure in one of the zones, and the other one can be delayed a little bit longer yet, pending what we do with the water main loop for the 599 zone. It's kind of technical, but these are small changes, tweaks, which will improve our system. And we were going to lump all of those projects together in one, but we can delay it without impacting our water system.
Telling me not to worry about it makes me worry.
Yeah,
okay?
oh,
So
well, I'd be happy
just
to.
don't do that, okay?
Happy to
Just
give you
future
all the
reference. I start digging. Okay, but these PRVs were in there for a reason. For better surface and for availability of water across the zones. Which my understanding is the main function is to reduce the pressure from one zone to another so that you can do that. Okay.
Not to go into too much detail, but I did reread our system plan on it just this afternoon. And one of the things it looks at, it also is a study to evaluate set points for the system, because if the set points are off, we're pumping more than we need to, we're reducing more often than we need to. And if we get everything dialed in, it's more efficient. That's one of the intents of
But it's
that
not
project.
a public safety issue with fire, or anything like that. We'll have plenty of water pressure wherever we need it in case of emergency.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Councilman Johnson, did you have any questions?
Yeah, just one thing here is I agree. That doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of wiggle room here. Like we can't do like half the project and be okay. But I do recall interim city administrator Chambliss telling us that at one point, yes, thank you, buddy, I hear you there, that there was some valve that was like super dangerous or something like that that needed to be replaced. Want to make sure that either had been taken care of or was still in the process of being taken care of, maybe wasn't related to this. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about the valve turning machine and just the process of exercising all the valves in the street is hazardous from an employee safety point of view. That's how people throw their backs out and stuff. So when we were talking about the acquisition of a valve turning machine to relieve that threat to our staff, so it didn't involve anything in the system itself.
That's a purchase of a tool.
It's a tool
that they can use. Okay, all right.
a big expensive.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, that's a side note, but is that something that we've addressed yet, or we still need to?
I need to double check with Matt. I know they came out and did the demo. I don't know where we are with the rest of it.
Keep us informed. Okay, any more questions on this, Councilman Holloway?
Well, yeah, back to the $44,000. So 37 of that is coming from water utility. That's existing fund balance, or but that was not previously planned to come out of that utility. And I assume that's the same question for sewer utility. Again, our current fund balance, we're taking 37K out, but that is an unplanned expenditure out of that utility. Not that it's inappropriate, it's just was unplanned. And you're gonna postpone the pressure reduction valve, making 321,000 available in this biennial. The one that really throws me is accelerate project budget into current biennial. It helped me, I don't understand what that means, because you have a biennial budget. And then you got other budget. Are you increasing you're proposing an increase to the biennial budget of $49,000?
I think they're proposing, yes, to cover the difference and the reallocation of the other funds for the total amount.
And that money is on hand?
The allocated money for the PRV valves.
The $49,000, because
So that would be coming out of fund balance. So existing fund balance that wasn't appropriated in the budget process.
What's the current amount that's in fund balance?
Now we need a finance person. Sorry.
I agree. We do.
I don't have access to those numbers like I will soon. Or I'd pull it right up for you. So let me get you that information.
Okay, do you recall offhand what the standing percentage is that we try to keep in fund balance for Parks and Public Works
Oh, I don't remember.
or utilities?
It's a percentage of the.
Yeah, it's a
annual
percentage,
operating
but I don't remember
amount.
what that percentage
Most
is.
it's like 10, that's
The what?
Okay, all right, we need a finance
I
person.
think it's like
Okay.
10%, but yeah, I think that's right. I think it's about 10%.
We think
I got
it's
the answer in the
10%.
back.
Yeah.
It is apparently this much.
Oh, okay.
take a look at your ending fund balance, take a look also what reserves, operating and hazard reserves you need. Hazards is probably the wrong term, but there are two types of reserves, so.
Are those,
And make sure that we're not dipping too deep.
could we have answers to those on, before the Monday meeting?
I can get them
Yeah,
to you
we can
by
get 'em
10
tomorrow.
o'clock tomorrow morning.
That would be before that. So it's a yes. Yeah, all right, thank you.
Chair?
Three.
Yes.
Yeah, so speaking of that, I'd be fine with moving this onto council with that information in hand, and just provided that we aren't dipping too deep where we all have to start screaming and yelling. I'm fine to approve at the next meeting without having to have another committee meeting first to address that issue.
I would be fine with that as well, as long as the council's fine with that. I would not consider putting this on consent, though.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Was there anything else?
Just let me say, I'm uncomfortable enough. I'm not sure how I'm going to vote. So I wouldn't, for me, it's non-consent. It's
Yeah.
gotta be with all these questions.
Was there anything else we needed to hear?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your help. All right. And that takes us to our discussions. First discussion is point is presentation of the CIP project update. Who's talking to that?
Dylan will be
Dylan.
our CIP manager.
All right.
And if my internet doesn't do some crazy stuff, which it seems like it's trying to.
You just sent out a hotspot.
Okay, so good evening, council and mayor. I am Dylan Gamble with the CIP manager in Public Works, and I'm going to give a quick-ish presentation as best I can. I know it's a pretty tight agenda. Right now, I'm waiting for my Zoom to reconnect so I can send you a PowerPoint. In the meantime, the kind of goal here is to kind of showcase there's 46 CIP items, and I wanted to give a status update as where we stand right now, where we're looking to stand at the end of 2023, and then again, what we're predicting to be completed by the end of 2024. That is my current plan. And the unfortunate part is just my internet connection.
Andrew's right behind you.
Yeah, I tried to connect to your staff one, it failed on me, so, yeah, it canceled, and so I'm reconnecting to the secure.
You can try public as well, but or you can do this CS thing.
Okay,
I was able to get that.
which one?
CS thing.
I'm told the equipment. It's not installed, right?
And this is just the Zoom reconnecting.
So like, already said, we're pretty sure it's good. I said those.
There's no internet stuff.
Should we come back to this? Should we?
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable, yeah.
Okay, well,
and-
let's go to number 4, the line at Snoqualmie Point Park. Who's talking about that one?
Miss Weeby will be.
Wonderful. You got an update for us?
I do. I have a few updates for you. Nicole Weeby, Community Liaison. So you'd like the line update first?
Sure.
Okay.
Supposedly I'm sharing it. There it is.
Okay. So the line, they opened up the weekend of the 23rd and the 24th. They've provided me some details. I'm just gonna share with you the bullets. I didn't put it on the slide. The response has been great. So they feel really good about having the facility up there. A steady stream of people checking them out the first weekend. They had 5 rentals the first day. Most notably, they've had a handful of ride saves, which didn't mean a lot to me. Maybe by your face as well. I can tell it might not mean anything to you as well either. For that would be me probably picking me up off the ground, but helping people with minor maintenance issues, and in one case, renting a bike to someone who had a bigger mechanical issue. He was able to ride with his friends instead of sitting back at the parking lot. So that's good. They're going to start.
So wait, that
Yes.
they're helping people that are coming with their own bikes.
Sounds like it.
Even if they're not renting a bike.
They're providing a nice
That's
service.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's
I'd-
pretty awesome.
I'd
Okay.
say so. So then they're going to be starting the biking clinics this month and helping the beginners practice. We had talked to them when we were up at the site. They've identified a little location, and I believe there's some things that they can put out on the ground, maybe pieces of lumber, little mini jumps, that kind of thing, so that the kids can practice. And those things are movable, so they would bring them in and out of the container. They wouldn't leave them out in the park. So things seem to be going well. They've asked about perhaps having some sort of a trail map up there. So I'm going to work with them on a trail map and maybe some artwork on the mural. Maybe I can get together a Arts Commission partnership or something with them. But so all in all, it's off to a good start.
And one of the things that we talked about when we were initially talking about this was education of riders on etiquette on trails and that sort of thing. Are they engaging in that?
I
At
can
all?
double check with them and ask them. I can affirm with them that we would like that conversation to be had.
Or maybe that should be part of a trail map as well.
This is a true statement. Okay, so trail map and etiquette. Okay, I can do that. Okay. Any oth-
Councilman Johnson, did you have anything? You usually have something to say about this one.
Yeah, I just thinking about the look and feel of it is kind of nice. I was worried about how the big container box would look, but it's nice.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I'm also on the agenda for another bullet before we head into a topic that I think there'll be more discussion on, and that is a question of what did they call it? The WashDOT sign downtown. It was brought to your attention by the downtown merchants. I watched the video. I wasn't on the meeting that night, and I have since talked with the merchants group, and there was some confusion. So they're good. But just to provide some context and some information for you, we call that internally the kiosk. So it's the board it's attached to the boardwalk, about midpoint, just to the right of the midpoint of the block. On the front is some history of Snoqualmie, and that document and that information was produced in 2019 by Gil Fulkins in our communications department. And that information was, and that artwork and that design was paid for with Port of Seattle grant money. That information, Gail worked with the Snoqualmie tribe on that content of the information on that page. We still feel that front, the front of the kiosk is still relevant. It's not outdated. And the city, we maintain, myself and the communications team maintain the control of what goes in and out of the kiosk. On the back side of the kiosk, there's currently a copy of a trail map. It's a little crinkled. I need to get over there and fix it. But that is a document. It's a map that was created last year with, now I'm going to lose, that was also Port of Seattle funds that I used to create that brochure. So that is what is inside the back of that. So I just wanted to provide that update for you and let you know that I have spoken with the downtown merchants, and everybody is on the same page. All is well. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Yes.
So help me with the conversation. What were their concerns and that they are no longer?
For some reason,
About.
there was in some meetings that we had, I said something about a mountains to sound sign that I think I was referring to the one on I-90, and they took that when I said that as to what this one was down here on the boardwalk. So they didn't realize that the city maintains that kiosk. And so they thought it was an outside entity, the Mountains to Sound. So they wanted to be able to help them to maintain it, probably because the backside is crinkled and they felt like it had been neglected, and I have neglected it and I need to go and fix it. But
Don't kick yourself. You're doing great. You're doing great.
thank you.
You do remind me of one question
Yeah.
that one of my constituents, whom I live with and sleep with, asked me about the city of Snoqualmie sign.
Yes, I can update you on that as well.
You don't have to update me. now.
I can answer your question.
I don't want to. I don't want to. We've got a full thing. All right, go. All right.
So what is your question? I think I know what it is. But,
She said that it's looking a little rough around the grill,
mhm,
and she's hoping
mhm.
that it will be restored to its former glory, but not totally changed.
So it was looking a little rough around
For
the
the homes,
edges. It
yeah.
needed a bit of a facelift. I learned in April that a longtime resident, Carol Peterson, was very proud to say she built that sign 50 years ago, I think she said, Mayor. And but it is looking a little rough. And so our Parks Department has taken the boards that are in between the two columns. They've taken that back to the shop and they're going to give it a little bit of a facelift. And then the pillars on the side will be enhanced. So hopefully that will look a little bit better when we get that.
But the
back installed.
character of the sign won't change.
At this point, the character of the sign will not change.
Right.
There was some talk, there has been talk by downtown merchants in the past. And they haven't brought that topic up again for a little bit, but would there be some sort of a different monument sign to welcome people into the community, either there or down at the other location? So I don't want to stand here tonight and say that sign is always going to be there. It's, there's.
That's what I heard you say.
There's potential, but for now, we've improved upon it. We've
Okay.
improved upon the investment.
Great.
Okay.
Well, you've provided us updates for a bunch of things that weren't even on here. So thank you very much. Did you have anything else?
I have the totem pole discussion.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you introducing that to us?
I'm also introducing that.
Fantastic.
So, sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Joe has a question.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I was
Joe,
just-
I'm sorry, Joe.
That was what I was gonna go to. I was like, but there is something else that I thought was kind of important. Okay, go ahead.
very important. Per your request, I've prepared some information on the history of the Snoqualmie totem pole that also was brought to council's attention by the downtown merchants at the last meeting. I don't want to read every single word to you, but I've tried to simplify it on the slide. So in 1936, Hugh Hines, he carved the pole. And interestingly, he also carved the pole that was up until recently located at Falls City. So he had done both of the poles. George Kelly, he donated the pole to the city in 1936. In 1991, Mayor Jeannie Hansen, and this information is from Snoqualmie historian Dave Batty. She paid personally for the paint and the refurbishing. Apparently that had been looking a little shabby from 1936 to 1991. So it was improved upon at that time. In 2012, as part of the phase 2 improvements, the pole was taken down, and it was Councilmember Holloway is nodding, so he's affirming the information I'm presenting here.
I remember.
It was taken down, and I think about a year, and it was spent, and it was refurbished, and it was installed to its current location, which was it always in that location, Councilmember Holloway, in that same spot?
Vertically, I believe so. It spent some time horizontal.
Okay.
Uninstalled.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So then on the second page, I did some research, and there was some great totem pole itself history through the University of Washington and the Burke Museum. And so that slide's going to load there it is. So I took some of the main statements from those articles, but if you're interested, anybody can click on those links. The information is there. But essentially, the totem pole is not something that is recognized by a specific. We'll just speak of the tribe that is in our community, the Snoqualmie tribe. It is not represented by them. It is something that's mainly part of tribes in Alaska. So it's not something that they identify with. So I just wanted to provide that history that I was able to find. So that is the history. And before we move on to the other bullets below, I just wanted to say, does anybody have any discussion on what we've presented so far?
Well, I don't think anybody's here to speak on it publicly. Maybe we should take public comment and hear what people have to say on this topic. If there's anybody who'd like to speak to that, we would love to hear from you. And if more than one person wants to speak on it, they may.
Good evening. I'm Lois Sweet Dorman. I am the Snoqualmie Falls Ambassador for the Snoqualmie Tribe. I also am the lead on Sacred Lands. And the issue here, and thank you for bringing this forward, is I think it's a pretty long history going back. It is a city decision, and how we are sharing this same valley is of interest, I think, to a lot of people on how we walk that. Accurately, the totem pole is something that was absconded in Alaska. It was that kind of history isn't really a pretty history. It certainly wasn't a celebration on the side of the tribe that it was stolen from when they brought the big well-known one to Seattle. That was stolen. And that, I mean, you can say cultural appropriation, but they went in the village and they stole it. They cut it down and they took
This
it.
one?
No, the history of totem poles as in representative of any kind of, I can say Native American because that's what you will think of, but I grew up and I'm an Indian. So the totem pole doesn't represent the people who actually were the first people of this area. And so if it's a question of respect for the people that were originally Snoqualmie Falls, Snoqualmie River, Snoqualmie Valley, Snoqualmie Forest, and the city of Snoqualmie, this isn't a respectful representation. We would not receive that as a respectful representation of us because it isn't of us.
Please continue. Please continue.
Okay. It is, I think it is a decision on the city's part on how you go forward with that. It certainly has its own history within the city of Snoqualmie. And it just depends on where you guys are in your decision making. Then are you prepared at this point in time to, and from our perspective, to do the right thing? And the right thing would be to do an appropriate representation of the first people, because the totem pole isn't. So removal of it, I think that has been a discussion. If I'm wrong, correct me. But we would not be opposed to a removal of it and further discussion on how to have a better representation of the original inhabitants of the valley. So,
Thank you very much. That's I was today years old when I learned most of that. So I appreciate the education. I think that I don't think most people know what you just taught us about totem poles. I think that's uncommon knowledge, and I think that well, I'll just speak for myself. I would like to see something there that is representative of the Snoqualmie tribe. I would love that. I don't know that I would be in favor of removal of the totem pole. I think that there's the possibility that a lot more education could be could be done for the people of the city and anybody visiting to learn that story that you just told of what an inappropriate because I don't think the fellow who carved that was trying to be disrespectful when he carved it, but what he carved was an inappropriate homage to Native Americans, to Indians in this area. And I personally think that the educational possibilities of having, rather than tearing something down that does have a real history in the city, I think it could have an actual appropriate representation of the tribe, and the discussion that you just gave us about where the original attempt missed and what history was ignored by correcting it. If we just take it down, I don't think anybody gets that lesson, or that lesson ends with the people who have a living memory of the totem pole standing in the middle of Snoqualmie. I'd be really interested to talk more with you guys about what the best possible way to go forward is on this, and I think the whole council would be as well. Please continue if you have anything else to say. We'd like to hear it.
Council member, could I say something real quick?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you. Yeah, I did want to just build off of that a little bit, in that removing something doesn't necessarily mean it's destruction. It could be moved to someplace that is less prominent, with a nice plaque describing the intent behind it and also acknowledging the impact that it's had. My concern with leaving it where it is that most of our visitors walking down Railroad Avenue enjoying the town would see and go, oh yeah, there's the Snoqualmie tribe, this must be from them, or something like that. I apologize for my toddler in the background. Let me just change rooms here.
it's all good.
Mom just got home and they're very excited about it. All right, hopefully this is a little bit better. But yeah, so I'd be concerned about having it right there in that prominent location where especially non-residents are just kind of walking by, they see it, they may or may not read the plaque, and they may not gain that rich history, but perhaps there are other settings, there are places where we can have it with the, like I said, a nice plaque that describes that with the intent and the impact, and people can really learn from it in that kind of a setting. So that's another option that I'd be interested in exploring.
I can sit down.
No, you can stand right next to me. That's okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that a couple of the bullets below was the discussion of the future home. And I don't want for any minute for anyone to believe that internally city staff is recommending that this be destroyed. That's not That's not what this is about. But perhaps rehoming it in a place that can still honor it as an artifact of our community, but still not be maybe in a visible, and I'm going to use, I don't know if I'm using any of the right or wrong words, but an offensive location. So I just want that to be stated here, that that's, I think, a discussion to have is a future home. Maybe it's the Snoqualmie Valley Historic Museum, you know, maybe it becomes a display there. And along with that is the opportunity to discuss with Snoqualmie Tribe the potential, if there's somewhere you would want to put your history or an artifact, or again, I don't want to misspeak, if like a story pole, I don't know if that is a term you use in the tribe, but just that we need to have as a city a discussion with them about where would you want to put something that signifies your history. So I don't know if that provides any clarity, but I did want to clear the room that we were not advocating that it would be destroyed.
A good clarification.
Okay. And as for some context, Fall City recently has taken theirs away, which was in their downtown area, and it has been rehomed on someone's property in somewhat of someone, if someone wanted to go and visit it or look at it, they could, but it's not representative in the core of the downtown Fall City. So. You're welcome.
Sure.
Okay.
Can I?
Yes,
I just respond to that. I think that history is our history. This is what we've lived through, and we've shared some bumpy times, and I think that people are learning. I think that the respect between the tribe and the city is something that we work on and will continue to as long as we share this valley. And so the potential going forward is, I certainly think that this deserves further discussion. I think that education is always a really good thing. I happen to have homeschooled my daughters, and so I think that there has to be teachable moments. And I don't know if this is a teachable moment here, but this is history that a lot of people don't know about. And again, the totem pole doesn't represent our history. It is a history of time and another area. And so I think that there are ways to represent in a good way, and we can further discuss that. And as far as what happens to or rehoming or how it's utilized for education, possibly, I think that remains a discussion. I don't really want to weigh in on that. It's a decision that you all have to approach, but I'm happy to talk more about it. There's a lot more to say about it, but I don't think that's here.
Well, I certainly hope that you will weigh in on it, because I know that we do want, we want to do something that honors the tribe in an appropriate way. But we should, I don't know, can we create maybe talk about creating a time when we could get together? I know that we have a council liaison to the tribe, but and that is not me, but I would very much like to be a part of this conversation.
Sure.
The administration staff can engage with the tribe and have those discussions much quicker than we council members have, because we have other lives to go. So I don't think we need to keep the liaison aware and whatever, and let them have the discussion and come back with options. My only other comments was, I believe that the totem was done in acknowledgement of the first people, Native Americans. In hindsight, decades later, maybe ham-handed, but it was done in acknowledgement and an attempt to respect it of the Native American history here. Okay, again, in hindsight of a couple of decades, a little bit ham-handed, wrong location for a totem pole. It's more appropriately a story pole than a totem pole. No disrespect was intended at any stage along this process. Okay, it's just in hindsight, it looks a little ham-handed. Okay, I do believe that administration should have conversations with the council, and I've heard you. You guys want to tell your story. You don't want us telling your story. Bring us options of how we can do that. Have the discussion with administration, and bring those forward as As they get baked, bring them forward at the appropriate time. And let's have that discussion. That would be my point.
I just would like to, I'd like to be involved in all of this, to the extent that it's appropriate and I'm not, intrusive. I don't wish to be intrusive, but I do, really care about this topic and would like to participate with you in finding a solution.
Yeah, my name is Shauna Martinez. For the record, I'm a Snoqualmie Tribal Council member. I also am a carver, so I'm letting you know most of my teachers are also from a wide span, but understanding that the pride and what you're learning about a totem from the Alaskan natives is totally different than but the pride that they have in their artwork, as well as, and I don't know this artist by name or by art, but it truly is a gift. And understanding that gift that was given to Snoqualmie, I'm very happy that you guys were able to receive something for what it was, which was a gift to you and for the city. I don't think that we were consulted in that, and we shouldn't if it was a gift between the two, but understanding like the placement, and that's my bigger concern, is the placement prominent that reflects upon us without anything indicating that it's not. There's also just taking that step forward and what the relationship building, thank you for allowing us to speak on this behalf, is reappropriating it to the correct location with the acknowledgement of the artist and the art that it is being displayed, because it is not our art. We don't do totem poles, and you've heard us say that, but what we do is special to us. Ours were internal processes for our family and their clan. So ours are different, and it's not meant to be on display, but there are things that we can provide as far as what we can share to show. We have storyboards. They're different. They're not meant, and they're not meant to be shared as far as whose clan is on there and represented. I mean, that was personal. It was in our own space. But also what I'm looking at is being able to do an acknowledgement. I think that's my bigger thing too, is here you guys have provided a space to talk about taking down the totem, but never even truly we're starting to navigate that. But the acknowledgement of the Snoqualmie tribe is not represented, and it's not equal here. And I think that that's something else that can be worked on. And as far as that partnership. So I'd really like that to be considered, even if it is an acknowledgement of what the space is. You're talking about understanding the historical perspective of us as First People here, but yet there's no acknowledgement of us at all in the Snoqualmie city. I think that would go a long way. I mean, just the acknowledgement that we are people of this area, and we can work towards sharing more of us, which we are already talking about. We've already started that path. We've already started those communications, but I think that's the bigger part for me, is that we have a totem pole that the artist gave to you and gifted in the best possible means, maybe reappropriating it. It's not representative of the tribe, but also making sure that you represent the tribe by doing acknowledgement of the tribe. We're talking kind of tiptoeing around it, but we haven't really said, you guys even acknowledge us. We're starting to, because you're doing government to government talks with us, but the acknowledgement is also there. So just kind of a quick moment. Thank you for this discussion. Like I said, carving is in the blood. It's a gift. And I think finding the right home for it is going to be it. It is a gift that was provided to the Snoqualmie city. It needs to have a notation of the artist, what it meant to them, and as a gift to you guys, but not representative of the tribe. And an acknowledgement of the tribe would be really, and something that we can provide to you guys. Thank you.
So I guess at this point, just if you could provide some direction as to where you want the rest of this discussion to go. So that, oh, yeah.
Chair, you also have two people online that had their hands raised.
Oh, okay. All right. We're gonna take the two folks that had their hands up and then we'll come right to you. Is that okay? Sure. Okay, was Joe one of the people with his hand?
Joe is one of the people.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. And then who's the other person?
Jolene, I believe.
Jolene?
Yeah.
Okay, so do Joe and then Joe, or I'm sorry, Councilman Johnson and then Jolene. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I just want to mention that I also think that it'd be appropriate to make sure that anyone who is involved in getting the totem pole to its current location, whether that's family members of the person who carved it, people who were involved in the donation and refurbishing, I just think that they should be kept in the loop about this discussion as well, just in full fairness and open transparency.
All right. Can we bring Jolene up so that she can make her comment?
She has permission to talk, so she's Jolene, if you just unmute, you can speak.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Sorry, I had earphones on earlier. Took them off. Thank you for opening up the floor. I'm Jolene Williams from Snoqualmie Tribe. I would have to support the sentiments of Secretary Ship Martinez and Tribal Elder Ambassador Lois Sweet Dormant and other comments that have gone on before me. I think just a minute. Jules. Hey, I'm on Zoom. Sorry, my grandkids are here. Thank you. I think it's important as leaders on both sides of this table to have this dialogue in this for this totem pole that has been there. I just want to share some history with you. We have been part of this area since time immemorial, and the treaty that our name is tied to is Point Elliott of 1855. And we've gained recognition and lost recognition. We've had a long fight, but our ancestral lands stem from North Bend all the way up into the Canada lands, partially, and then as far west into Seattle and Whidbey Island area. There used to be like 5,000 to 10,000 Snoqualmies that resided in the area that you sit at. And knowing that simple fact of the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855, city of Snoqualmie did not become a city until 1903. So I think it's very important that the leaders at this table embrace the education that is coming before you that we are going to be starting. Because we all understand that we have a due diligence and an obligation to the people that we represent. And I don't want to be submissive and just think it's a staffing issue that needs to address it. I feel the leaders at the table of the city have an obligation to the people that they represent to fully understand who the Snoqualmie people are and what our story is about, which we're willing to share. And I agree with Joe with looping in the individuals that have been a part of the implementation of this totem pole. I believe testimony of the individuals were spot on that he did it in good faith, the carver and the establishment of it. I agree with the location that it doesn't convey a message of the city or the tribe that's in the same proximities of each other, that are working on collaboration to work on many projects, not just this, but other things that we can be successful leaders for our citizens. I feel it's very important that this relationship continue because we have members that are reliant on us to make sure that we do the due diligence on their behalf. That's why we chose these seats to be elected, that we would be doing our responsibility, we would do due diligence, and we would educate ourselves and bring the right people in the room and in the space to have those conversations. I believe the sentiment was that we weren't consulted on this or brought into the loop when this happened. That's back history, but I believe we can change that narrative for a better Snoqualmie area. I agree with the land acknowledgement should be placed somewhere in the vicinity of the city because that is our ancestral lands. It belonged to us before any immigration ever set place in this area. And I think it's important that people in the broader community of Snoqualmie and the individuals of Snoqualmie start gravitating to respecting that. I believe we're in a position now that it needs to be respected because we add value to the community. We share charitable donation dollars with the community. We help nonprofits, we help local churches, we help food banks with our revenue resources. So we're a big segment to the valley and the city. And I feel it's important that we find that pathway and find a relocation for this totem pole sooner. I take the recommendation of the individual that opened up the floor, because I don't want to disrespect the individual that gave it as a gift, but the gift is between the city and the individual. And I feel it misrepresents the tribe at the current location. And I know we can come together as a group, and I know we can put the right people in the space to have those conversations, because I know my responsibility and the oath I've taken was to make sure that we do our due diligence to make sure we are being inclusive of each other's and our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marcia Bennett Reinert, and I have been a resident of the Snoqualmie Valley since 1998, when my husband's Coast Guard career brought him to Seattle. We spent a long time deciding where we wanted to live, and we chose this valley for a lot of reasons. We still love it here. And as we moved the valley and started exploring, we found magnificent giant tree logs and train depots and murals on sides of buildings and stories about hops fields. And we learned about the history of the valley. We didn't learn anything about the Snoqualmie tribe because we didn't see anything. And from across the street, when you spotted a totem, had we not already known that that really belongs in Alaska, through affiliations with people in my church, we began to form a relationship with some tribal members. Our youth group spent time at the carving barn with John Mullen, and they came to our church and blessed and smudged our van and our kiddos as we headed for a reservation in Oregon on a mission trip to help improve a mission church in that area. But when we look around the town, their story isn't told, and their story was first. And that's really important. I love what I'm hearing here, that everyone's mind seems to be open, that I would hope that moving forward, their history in the valley is as carefully researched and as much effort is put into telling their story as the story of the big log and the story of the hops fields and the story of the Toll Farm in Meadowbrook. I will be chairing this collaboration, and I'm really happy to see it happening.
Thank you. Hey, we better put a bow on this.
I think
Okay.
so. I think Dylan might
Yeah.
still want to speak. So just let me know what direction you guys would like us to do with this. Topic.
Would you want to,
I think we can.
Yes, Mayor.
We'll have an internal conversation. We
whatever
hear-
that
we hear
internal
everyone's-
conversation is, I would like to personally be involved in whatever capacity is appropriate, but I would like to be a part
That
of it.
sounds good, but we hear everyone and we're listening, so.
Wonderful.
Did we miss anything tonight?
I think we need to move on to the next items. I think we've
Yeah.
covered it. We need
Say that
to move on-
again?
We need to move on to the next item. to
Okay,
get
all right,
the-
but I'm sorry we
5
ran out of
minutes.
time because I would like to hear what you have. to say.
Chair,
Thank you.
Yeah, Joe.
two things. One, I'm gonna switch to my laptop. So if that Joe Johnson can be promoted, that'd be great. Also, we talk about things for as long as they need to be talked about. That's how it works.
Except when you have F&A, which starts at 6 o'clock.
All right, we have 4 more minutes to talk about other things. And this conversation is not over. Okay, what's next? Next we've got Dylan, or who's coming up?
Carson.
Carson's coming up. Okay, come on up, Carson.
Right, good evening, Mayor, committee members. A couple updates on waste collection for you this evening. The first of which is a 2024 CPI rate adjustment for waste management rates. These rates are adjusted each year based on CPI for Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue area. And so they use June to June as their year for measurement. At the end of June 23, the CPI was 4.51%. So that's represented up in the top right-hand corner there. The collection component of the rates are adjusted based on that, but then you see that, well, it's blocked up there, but it says 2024 disposal is TBD. That's because King County has not published their disposal rates as of yet, but they will later this fall, and then we'll receive another adjustment. And if you recall, the council had approved the amendment for the new county rates back in August. Second, quick update for you is on our process to procure a new waste collection agreement. The city recently published an RFQ for a consultant to help us out with procuring an agreement. As you know, the waste management agreement is expiring in May of 2025. So we've got about 1.5 years to go for this process. So after the deadline for the RFQ, we'll put together a committee, review the qualifications that we receive, and select a consultant to help us out with that process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike.
Chair, in light of the time, I think we punt the CIP update and the priority tracker to the next meeting.
Yes, and you shared a Zoom link for the meeting tomorrow with me.
I did.
Could you share that with Councilman Holloway and Councilman Johnson as well, just in case they? Is it?
I'm worried about a quorum because Councilperson Christensen does participate.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, then don't do what I just said.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're out of time. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
We are adjourned.